The Galactic Council wanted to erase Earth, but regretted it. Protocol 5723B of the Galactic Standards Mandate clearly stated that any civilization discovered with fewer than 3 colonized planets must be immediately assessed for potential membership in the Greater Cosmos Confederacy. If said civilization failed to meet at least 12 of the 18 primary qualifications, they were to be categorized as a developmental anomaly and scheduled for evaluation by the Erasure Committee. Earth had scored a 4. Truly abysmal, Grand Chancellor Myx'Lplyx muttered, his 7 eye stalks drooping in dismay as he reviewed the assessment hologram floating above the council chambers. His translucent tentacles tapped against the smooth, obsidian surface of the round table. They've barely made it past their own moon and they're still burning fossil fuels. Fossil fuels. The 14 other members of the Galactic Council stirred uncomfortably in their various seating apparatuses. Ambassador Quipcore, a gaseous entity contained within an ornate floating sphere, pulsed a concerned shade of mauve. Perhaps we might consider reclassification, Quipcore suggested, his voice emanating from his containment sphere's speakers with a slight metallic echo. They've shown remarkable progress in certain cultural areas. Their music, for instance. Their music is just organized noise, interrupted Trevor, the insectoid representative from the Rigelian Hive Collective. Her mandibles clicked irritably. And their so-called art is nothing more than random pigments arranged in patterns that their primitive visual cortexes find pleasing. High Admiral Clerks of the Vorpaxian fleet leaned forward, his scales glistening under the chamber's ambient lighting. Let's not forget their weapons systems. They're still pointing nuclear warheads at each other, at themselves. What kind of species develops planet-killing technology and then aims it inward? An irrational one, Chancellor Myx'Lplyx sighed. The kind that doesn't deserve a seat at our table. A holographic projection of Earth rotated slowly in the center of the council chamber, its blue-green surface marred by sprawling cities and pollution clouds. The council members stared at it with expressions ranging from disgust to pity, depending on their species' facial capabilities. I move that we schedule immediate erasure, declared Trevor. Their solar system contains valuable resources that could be better utilized by civilizations with actual future potential. 11 appendages or appendage equivalents raised in agreement. The motion was carried. Very well, Chancellor Myx'Lplyx announced. As per Protocol 5723B, we will dispatch an observational specialist to document their final cultural artifacts before erasure. The procedure will commence in exactly 1 galactic standard week. The council members filed out of the chamber, most already forgetting about the insignificant blue planet they had just condemned. None of them could have possibly anticipated the chaos that would ensue from this routine decision. Lieutenant Myx'Lplyx of the Observational Corps was arguably the worst possible choice for the Earth assignment. His supervisors knew this. His colleagues knew this. Even Myx himself knew this. But due to a clerical error involving 3 misplaced quantum signatures and a badly timed coffee break by the scheduling AI, Myx found himself approaching Earth's orbit in a standard-issue cloaking vessel. Myx was not well suited for field work. His species, the glutenites, resembled what humans might describe as walking sea anemones with too many eyes. They were known across the galaxy for their meticulous attention to detail, their love of regulations, and their tendency to dissolve into puddles of anxiety when faced with unexpected situations. Approaching target planet, the ship's AI announced. Stealth systems engaged, anthropological observation suite online. Myx quivered nervously, his tentacles writhing. Remind me of the protocols again? The AI's voice remained infuriatingly calm. You will observe representative samples of human culture, catalog their final achievements, and submit your report before erasure commences. Standard procedure for developmental anomalies. Right, Myx muttered. And the humans won't see me because your personal cloaking field renders you invisible to their visual spectrum and most of their detection technologies. Most? Myx's color shifted from his natural lavender to a distressed puce. What does most mean? The AI paused before responding. Their detection capabilities are inconsistent. Some of their technologies are surprisingly advanced while others are embarrassingly primitive. Recommend avoiding direct contact regardless. Myx felt a sinking sensation in all three of his stomachs. He had reviewed Earth's file during the journey. The humans were bipedal mammals with only 2 eyes and an alarming tendency toward violence. Their history was littered with wars. Their entertainment glorified conflict, and their cuisine often involved deliberately burning perfectly good nutrients. They were in every measurable way the opposite of gluttonites. The ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, its advanced systems easily bypassing the planet's rudimentary detection grid. Myx had selected a landing site in a region the humans called North America, specifically a suburban area outside a city known as Denver. The Corps' preliminary research suggested it represented an average sample of human civilization. As the ship settled invisibly in an empty field, Myx prepared his observational equipment with trembling tentacles. Just 3 solar rotations of data collection, he reassured himself. Then back to the ship and off this doomed rock. The outer hatch opened, and Earth's atmosphere rushed in. Myx's sensory filaments immediately registered thousands of unfamiliar compounds. His species had evolved on a world with a methane-based atmosphere, making oxygen environments like Earth's tolerable but uncomfortable. He activated his breathing filter and stepped out onto alien soil. The first thing that struck him was the noise. So much noise. Birds making high-pitched sounds, insects buzzing, distant mechanical rumblings, and the faint echoes of human vocalizations. His audio receptors automatically dampened the input to manageable levels. The second thing was the light. Earth's sun was painfully bright to his multiple photosensitive organs. He adjusted his protective goggles and looked around at the alien landscape. How do they live like this? He wondered aloud, observing the geometric patterns of human dwellings, the rigid lines of their roads, and the curious way they'd trimmed vegetation into unnatural shapes. Everything about their environment seemed forced, as if they were constantly fighting against the natural world rather than adapting to it. Myx activated his recording devices and began walking toward the nearest cluster of human habitations, his cloaking field ensuring that no one would witness the 6-foot-tall purple anemone wandering down Maple Street on a Tuesday afternoon. Or so he thought. Mom, there's a giant purple octopus thing walking down the street. 9-year-old Trevor Wilson pressed his face against his bedroom window, watching in fascination as the bizarre creature ambled past his house. That's nice, honey, his mother called up from the kitchen, not bothering to look up from her laptop. Is this like the time you saw a dinosaur in Mrs. Peterson's garden? That was a really big iguana and you know it, Trevor protested. This is different, it's all purple and glowy and it has like a million eyes. His mother responded absently. Finish your homework before dinner, okay? Trevor frowned, watching as the creature stopped to examine their mailbox with what appeared to be scientific instruments. None of the adults driving by seemed to notice it at all. This was the coolest thing he'd ever seen, and nobody believed him. Again. Well, if adults wouldn't believe him, maybe he needed evidence. Trevor grabbed his tablet and snapped several photos through the window. To his dismay, the creature didn't appear in any of them, just an empty sidewalk. Weird. Trevor narrowed his eyes. This called for direct investigation. He grabbed his backpack, stuffed it with what he considered essential alien encounter gear, a flashlight, some Oreos, his action figures for comparison sizing, and a water gun filled with grape juice, because everyone knew aliens were allergic to grape juice, and headed for the stairs. I'm going to play in the front yard, he called as he rushed past the kitchen. Be back by 6, his mother replied, still focused on her work. Outside, Trevor crouched behind his dad's car and observed the purple creature, which was now methodically scanning a fire hydrant. Up close, it was even weirder than he'd thought. It wasn't exactly an octopus, more like a giant anemone with too many tentacles and eyes that moved independently of each other. It wore what looked like a spacesuit made of shimmering material, with various technological gadgets attached to it. Trevor took a deep breath. This was his moment. All those hours watching sci-fi movies had prepared him for first contact. He stepped out from behind the car. "Hey, alien dude," he called out. "Welcome to Earth." Myx nearly dissolved into panic when the small human addressed him directly. This was impossible. His cloaking field was state-of-the-art technology. No pre-galactic civilization should be able to detect it. Yet this miniature human was staring right at him and making sounds in his direction. "Ship," Myx subvocalized. To his communication implant, "Why can this human offspring see me?" "Analyzing," the ship's AI responded. "Preliminary hypothesis. Immature humans may possess sensory capabilities that atrophy in adulthood. This is consistent with observed phenomena on other developing worlds." "What do I do?" Myx hissed, his tentacles curling in distress. "Protocol dictates avoiding interaction with indigenous species prior to erasure." "It's too late for that. It's looking right at me and making noise patterns." The ship's AI paused before responding. "Since erasure is scheduled regardless, limited interaction presents minimal risk to galactic security. Translator module activated." Suddenly, the human's sounds resolved into comprehensible language in Myx's mind. "And I promise I won't tell anyone if you're here to abduct people or whatever." "Well, I already told my mom, but she didn't believe me. Adults never believe kids about the important stuff." Myx stared at the small human, now understanding its vocalizations but comprehending very little of their meaning. His training had covered many scenarios, but none involved being accosted by juvenile specimens who could somehow see through advanced cloaking technology. "I am not here to abduct anyone," Myx finally responded, his translator converting his chemical communication into human speech patterns. "I am conducting an observational study." The small human's face contorted into what Myx's cultural database identified as an expression of excitement. "Whoa, you can talk. This is so cool. What's your name? What planet are you from? Do you have a spaceship? Can I see it?" "You should not be able to perceive me," Myx said, ignoring the barrage of questions. "This is highly irregular." "I'm Trevor," the human continued, apparently undeterred. "I'm 9 3/4. Are those all your eyes? How many do you have? Can you see behind you without turning around?" Myx felt his stress levels rising, dangerously. This was precisely the kind of situation he was poorly equipped to handle. According to the core handbook, he should terminate contact immediately and relocate to another observation area. But something about the small human's unfiltered curiosity gave him pause. "I have 17 visual organs," Myx found himself answering. "And yes, I can perceive in all directions simultaneously." "That's awesome," Trevor exclaimed. "You'd be really good at dodgeball. Nobody could sneak up on you." Before Myx could inquire about this dodgeball, his sensors alerted him to approaching adult humans. A vehicle was turning onto the street. "I must go," Myx said hastily. "You should forget this encounter." Trevor looked crestfallen. "But you just got here, and nobody's going to believe me without proof." "That is unfortunate but necessary," Myx replied, already backing away. "Will you come back?" Trevor called after him. Myx hesitated. "Perhaps, for research purposes." As the vehicle approached, Myx activated his emergency speed enhancers and retreated rapidly to a safe distance, leaving Trevor standing on the sidewalk with a wide grin on his face. Back in the safety of his ship, Myx reviewed the encounter, data with growing concern. "The human juvenile could see me. This suggests their species may have untapped perceptual abilities." "Noted," the ship's AI responded. "However, this does not alter their classification as a developmental anomaly or the scheduled erasure." Myx's tentacles twisted uneasily. "Correct, but perhaps additional data would be valuable for the final report." "Clarify research parameters," the AI prompted. Myx considered for a moment. "I believe direct interaction with the juvenile human could provide unique insights into their species' potential. Since the planet is scheduled for erasure anyway, the usual non-interference protocols are less relevant. This interpretation falls within acceptable guidelines," the AI conceded after a brief pause. "Proceed with caution." Myx felt a curious, sensation in his central nerve cluster, something almost like anticipation. His mission had suddenly become much more interesting than expected. The next morning, Trevor was ready. He'd set his alarm for 6 a.m., packed an upgraded backpack with supplies, including his birthday binoculars, a notebook for alien observations, and extra Oreos because first contact was hungry work, and positioned himself behind the large oak tree in his front yard. For 2 hours, nothing happened. A few neighbors left for work. The mail carrier made her rounds, and Mrs. Peterson's suspicious iguana sunned itself on her garden wall. Trevor was beginning to think yesterday's encounter might have been a dream after all, when he spotted a familiar purple form materializing at the end of the street. Yes, Trevor whispered, pumping his fist in victory. He had been right. The alien was real, and it had come back. He watched as the creature methodically made its way down the street, occasionally stopping to scan various objects with its strange devices. When the alien was close enough, Trevor stepped out from behind the tree. "Good morning, Mr. Alien. I knew you'd come back." Myx startled visibly, his tentacles rippling in surprise. "You are awake at this hour?" "My research indicated juvenile humans require extensive rest periods. I set my alarm," Trevor explained proudly. "I wanted to make sure I didn't miss you. Plus, Mom's still asleep so we can talk without her thinking I'm making stuff up again." "I see," Myx replied, though he clearly didn't. "I have returned to continue my observational study." "Cool. What are you studying? Is it for alien school?" Myx's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "Not exactly. I am cataloging your world's unique characteristics before—" He hesitated. "Before my departure." "Like a tourist?" Trevor asked, falling into step beside the alien as it resumed walking. "In a manner of speaking," Myx agreed, finding the comparison adequate if not entirely accurate. "I can help," Trevor offered enthusiastically. "I know everything about this neighborhood. I can show you all the important stuff that tourists miss." Myx considered this proposal. His mission was to document Earth culture before erasure, and who better to guide him than a native specimen, especially one who could inexplicably perceive him despite advanced cloaking technology. "Very well," Myx decided. "Your assistance may prove valuable. What would you suggest we observe first?" Trevor's face lit up with excitement. "The construction site. They're building a new shopping center, and they have these huge machines that dig and crush stuff. It's awesome." 20 minutes later, Myx found himself perched behind a chain-link fence, watching enormous yellow mechanical devices reshape the earth while Trevor provided enthusiastic commentary. "That one's a bulldozer. It pushes dirt around. And that's an excavator. It has a big scoop for digging holes. The workers get mad if you call them all bulldozers, even though that should totally be the name for all construction vehicles." Myx dutifully recorded this information, finding the human's perspective oddly refreshing. His species typically approached new worlds with clinical detachment, but Trevor's unbridled enthusiasm offered a different lens through which to view this doomed planet. "Your species expends considerable resources reshaping your environment," Myx observed. "Rather than adapting to your surroundings, you force your surroundings to adapt to you." Trevor shrugged. "I guess. They're building a new Pizza Hut here, which is way better than just having trees." Myx's translator struggled with the concept of Pizza Hut until his database provided context. "You alter ecosystems for food distribution centers?" "Not just any food," Trevor explained seriously. "Pizza. It's the best food ever invented. Haven't you had pizza on your planet?" "My species absorbs nutrients through our basal membranes," Myx replied. "We do not eat in the manner you describe." Trevor looked horrified. "No pizza? No ice cream? No chocolate? Your planet sounds terrible, no offense." "None taken," Myx assured him, finding the human's directness strangely refreshing compared to the subtle political maneuvering of the Galactic Council. As the morning progressed, Trevor led Myx on what he called the super-secret ultimate neighborhood tour, which included such cultural landmarks as the local playground, where kids fight for dominance over the goods swing, the convenience store. They have the best slushies, but the blue ones turn your tongue weird colors. And the storm drain system, We're not supposed to go in there, but that's where all the cool stuff ends up after it rains. Throughout it all, Myx recorded diligently, finding himself increasingly fascinated by the contradictions of human society. They created elaborate rules, then celebrated breaking them. They built sophisticated structures, then allowed children to climb all over them. They designed communication devices capable of accessing all human knowledge, then used them primarily to share images of domesticated animals wearing clothing. This makes no logical sense, Myx commented as Trevor showed him a meme on a discarded smartphone they'd found. That's what makes it funny, Trevor explained. If stuff made sense all the time, it wouldn't be interesting. By midday, Myx had collected more unique cultural insights than any previous observational specialist assigned to pre-erasure documentation. There was just one problem. He was beginning to like this strange, illogical planet and its even stranger inhabitants, or, at least this particular small one, ship. He subvocalized during a brief moment when Trevor was distracted by a passing dog. I'm experiencing concerning emotional responses to this assignment. Clarify, the AI responded. I am finding it increasingly difficult to remain detached regarding this planet's scheduled erasure. The AI's response was immediate and programmed. Reminder, emotional attachment to condemned worlds is contrary to core regulations and can result in psychological evaluation and possible career reassignment. I am aware of regulations, Myx replied testily. Log my concern as a procedural note only. As Trevor returned from petting the dog, which had completely ignored Myx's invisible presence, the alien found himself wondering if the Galactic Council had made the right decision about Earth. The thought was disturbing and technically treasonous. Hey, I'm getting hungry, Trevor announced. Want to see my house? I can make us sandwiches. Myx hesitated. Would other humans be present? Nah, Mom's at work until 5 and Dad doesn't live with us anymore. It'll just be us. Very well, Myx agreed. I would be interested in observing a human dwelling. As they walked back toward Trevor's house, neither the alien nor the boy noticed the black sedan that had been parked on various streets throughout their journey, or the tinted windows that concealed the individuals tracking their movements. Trevor's house was a modest 2-story structure that Myx's database identified as colonial-style architecture, though it had been modified with solar panels and a satellite dish. The interior was a chaotic mixture of functional furniture, electronic devices, and scattered belongings that Trevor stepped over without seeming to notice them. Mom's always saying we need to clean up, but we're both too busy, Trevor explained as he led Myx into the kitchen. She's a software engineer, which means she types on her computer a lot and has meetings where people argue about stuff I don't understand. Myx carefully navigated around a pile of laundry, his multiple eyes taking in every detail of the human habitat. And your male parent? You mentioned he resides elsewhere. Trevor's expression shifted subtly. Yeah, Dad lives in an apartment downtown now. They got divorced last year. It's okay, though. I see him every other weekend and he lets me play video games as late as I want. Myx consulted his database. Divorce. The formal dissolution of a pair bonding arrangement. Your species forms temporary mating partnerships, rather than lifelong ones. Gross, don't talk about my parents mating, Trevor complained, opening the refrigerator. But yeah, sometimes people decide they don't want to be married anymore. It happens to lots of kids' parents. He began pulling out items and placing them on the counter. Bread, circular meat slices, yellow squares that Myx identified as processed dairy product, and various condiments in plastic containers. I'm making PB&J for me, Trevor announced. But I figured you might want something different since you don't have a mouth. Is this stuff okay for your membrane things? Myx was touched by the consideration. I cannot consume your food, but thank you for the offer. I absorb nutrients through a specialized process in my ship. Trevor looked disappointed. That sounds boring. Food is one of the best things about being human, especially dessert. While Trevor assembled his meal, Myx explored the kitchen, scanning various appliances and objects. He was particularly intrigued by the refrigerator, with its ability to preserve organic matter through temperature reduction. A simple technology, but effective. Your species relies heavily on preservation techniques, Myx observed. You delay the natural decomposition cycle of organic materials. Trevor looked up from spreading peanut butter. You mean like keeping food cold so it doesn't get gross? Yeah, that's kind of important unless you want to eat rotten stuff. On my world, we consume nutrients immediately upon harvesting. The concept of storage is unnecessary. Weird, Trevor commented, completing his sandwich and cutting it diagonally. Come on, I'll show you my room while I eat. That's where all the cool stuff is. Trevor's bedroom proved to be a fascinating microcosm of human culture. Posters covered the walls, depicting what Myx determined were entertainment franchises involving space travel, superhumans with improbable abilities, and animated characters from various media. Shelves held collections of small figures, books, and assembled construction toys. A desk supported a computer terminal that Trevor proudly described as custom built by me and Dad last summer. It's got a GeForce RTX 3080 and 32 gigs of RAM, Trevor explained through a mouthful of sandwich. Dad said it was overkill, but I wanted to be able to run any game at max settings. Myx scanned the device. Interesting. Your personal computing. Technology is surprisingly advanced compared to your species' space travel capabilities. Yeah, we're better at making stuff for fun than serious things, Trevor agreed, flopping onto his bed. My mom says it's because people will pay more for entertainment than for saving the planet. Myx found this assessment disturbingly accurate based on his observations. He continued examining the room, pausing at a shelf that held various rocks and small preserved arthropods in clear containers. You collect biological and geological specimens? He asked. Trevor nodded enthusiastically. That's my science shelf. The rocks are from different places we've visited. The bugs are from around here. I found most of them dead already, but the butterfly I caught myself. Mom helped me mount it properly so it wouldn't get damaged. Myx studied the preserved butterfly, its wings still vibrant despite being fixed in place. You appreciate these life forms by terminating and displaying them? Trevor's expression fell slightly. When you say it like that, it sounds mean. I just think they're cool and want to keep them. The butterfly was already dying. It had a damaged wing. Myx's species did not experience the emotion humans called guilt, but he recognized he had caused the child discomfort. I did not intend criticism. The practice of collection exists across many cultures. My people preserve memories rather than physical objects. This seemed to cheer Trevor. How do you do that? Do you have like super advanced alien cameras in your heads? Something similar, Myx explained. We store sensory information as chemical compounds that can be shared with others of our kind through temporary neural connection. That's way cooler than my rock collection, Trevor said admiringly. Can you show me? Unfortunately, our physiologies are incompatible for direct memory transfer. However, Myx reached into his equipment pouch and removed a small silver device. This can translate certain visual memories into holographic form. Trevor's eyes widened. Like in Star Wars? Awesome. Myx adjusted the device's settings and activated it. A three-dimensional image appeared above his tentacle. A swirling, crystalline cityscape unlike anything on Earth. Towers of translucent material rose in spirals, while bubble-like structures floated between them. The entire scene was bathed in a purple-green light that seemed to pulse with life. Whoa, Trevor breathed. Is that your planet? Yes. The central metropolitan area of Gluten Prime where I was spawned. Trevor stared in wonder at the alien landscape. It's beautiful, like something from a dream. Myx felt an unexpected surge of what humans might call pride. It is considered one of the architectural wonders of the seventh quadrant. As Trevor reached out to touch the hologram, his fingers passing through the light, Myx was struck by a troubling realization. In less than 2 standard days, this curious, enthusiastic young human would cease to exist, along with his entire species and planet. The thought created an uncomfortable sensation in Myx's neural pathways. Trevor, Myx said suddenly, if you knew your world was going to end soon, what would you most want to preserve? Trevor looked up from the hologram, his expression thoughtful. Like if an asteroid was coming or something? Something like that, yes. Trevor considered the question seriously. I'd want to save my mom, obviously, and my dad, and my friends, and probably all the dogs and cats, and the important stuff like pizza recipes and video games. He paused. Why? Is your planet in trouble? No, Myx assured him quickly. It is a hypothetical question for my research. Trevor didn't look entirely convinced but was distracted by a new thought. Hey, if your species is so advanced, do you guys have like a galactic government or something? With different alien species all working together? Yes, Myx replied carefully. There is a Galactic Council that oversees interspecies relations and development. Cool. So when is Earth going to be invited to join? Do we need to get better at space travel first? The innocent question sent a wave of distress through Myx's system. It's complicated. There are certain criteria that must be met. Like what? Trevor pressed. Technological advancement, resource management, peaceful unification, sustainable development. Myx trailed off, uncomfortable with the direction of the conversation. Trevor frowned. We're pretty bad at most of that stuff, huh? All developing. Species face challenges, Myx said diplomatically. But we'll get there eventually, right? Trevor asked, his expression hopeful. I mean, in movies, Earth always ends up joining the Galactic Federation or whatever. Before Myx could formulate a response that wasn't an outright lie, a sound from downstairs caught their attention. Trevor, are you home? A female voice called. Trevor's eyes widened in alarm. That's my mom. She's home early. He jumped up from the bed. Quick, you need to hide or something. My cloaking field should. But she might bump into you. Hide in the closet until I can explain. Before Myx could protest, he found himself being urgently ushered toward a small door in the wall. For a creature with dozens of tentacles, it was not an ideal hiding place, but Trevor's panic was contagious. Myx folded himself into the cramped space among hanging clothing items just as footsteps sounded on the stairs. Trevor, who were you talking to? His mother's voice was closer now. Just myself, Trevor called back, quickly shutting the closet door. I was, practicing a presentation for school. The bedroom door opened and Myx adjusted his visual organs to peer through a small gap. A human female entered, presumably Trevor's mother. She appeared similar to other adult humans Myx had observed, though his limited experience with the species made individual distinctions difficult to catalog. I thought I heard another voice, she said, looking around the room suspiciously. Nope, just me, Trevor insisted, with what even Myx could recognize as forced casualness. Why are you home so early? The system update finished faster than expected, so they let us go. She was still scanning the room. Your sandwich is only half eaten. Are you feeling okay? Yeah, I just got distracted. Mom, did you know that some civilizations store memories as chemicals instead of taking pictures? Isn't that cool? His mother's expression shifted to one of amusement. Have you been watching those science documentaries again? The ones Dr. Phillips recommended? Something like that, Trevor muttered. Well, since I'm home early, I thought we could go to the Science Museum this afternoon. They have a new exhibit on exoplanets I think you'd like. Trevor's face lit up, then immediately fell. Oh, but I kind of had plans. Plans? With whom? His mother looked skeptical. Just exploring stuff. By myself. From his hiding place, Myx observed the interaction with fascination. The communication between human parent and offspring involved numerous subtle facial cues and tonal variations that his translator struggled to fully interpret. Trevor, his mother said in a tone that Myx's database classified as gently suspicious. Is there something you're not telling me? Trevor fidgeted, clearly torn between maintaining his secret and his excitement about the museum. Maybe. What if I told you I made a new friend? That would be wonderful, his mother replied, her expression softening. Who is it? Someone from school? Not exactly. Trevor took a deep breath. Promise you won't freak out? His mother's expression became wary. That depends entirely on what you're about to tell me. It's an alien, Trevor blurted out. A real one from another planet with tentacles and lots of eyes, and he can turn invisible, except I can see him for some reason, and he's been studying Earth, and he showed me a hologram of his home planet and— Trevor, his mother interrupted, her voice taking on a strained patience that Myx found fascinating. We've talked about this. I know you have an active imagination, and that's wonderful, but it's not imagination, Trevor protested. He's real. He's right here. He turned toward the closet. Myx, come out and show her. Myx froze, his tentacles stiffening in alarm. This was absolutely against protocol. Direct contact with one juvenile specimen was irregular, but potentially justifiable for research purposes. Revealing himself to an adult human was another matter entirely. Ship, he subvocalized urgently. Advise immediately. The juvenile wishes me to reveal myself to an adult human. Protocol strictly prohibits such action, the AI responded promptly. I am aware of standard protocol, Myx hissed internally. But this is an unprecedented situation. The planet is scheduled for erasure in less than 2 standard days. What harm could come from limited additional contact? There was a pause before the AI responded. Unable to calculate precise risk factors. However, since erasure will eliminate all evidence and witnesses, regulatory concern is primarily focused on your psychological welfare rather than contamination risk. Meaning it is your decision, Lieutenant. But be advised that forming attachments to doomed species may require mandatory psychological recalibration upon mission completion. Meanwhile, Trevor had opened the closet door and was gesturing dramatically. See? He's right here. His mother stared at the seemingly empty closet, her expression a mixture of concern and exasperation. Trevor, there's nothing there. But he's right in front of you. He's purple and has tentacles and like a million eyes. Myx realized the situation would only become more distressing for the child if he remained invisible. With a reluctant mental command, he deactivated his cloaking field. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Trevor's mother screamed, stumbled backward, and grabbed the nearest object, a desk lamp, holding it out like a weapon. What the hell is that? She shrieked, her face drained of color. That's Myx, Trevor said triumphantly. See? I told you he was real. Hello? Myx said awkwardly, his translator converting his chemical speech into human language. I apologize for the intrusion into your dwelling. Trevor's mother stared in shock, the lamp still clutched in her white-knuckled grip. Trevor, she said without taking her eyes off Myx. Come over here right now. Mom, it's okay. He's friendly. He's been studying Earth for his alien scientists. Trevor, here, now. Her voice had taken on a quality that even Myx recognized as non-negotiable. Trevor sighed dramatically but complied, moving to stand beside his mother. You're being rude, he whispered loudly. He's a guest. Stay behind me, she ordered, finally lowering the lamp slightly. What are you? What do you want with my son? Myx raised his upper tentacles in what he hoped was a universal gesture of non-aggression. I am Lieutenant Myx'Lplyx of the Galactic Observational Corps. I am conducting a standard cultural assessment of your planet. Your offspring has been assisting me in understanding human customs. A cultural assessment? She still looked terrified, but confusion was now mixing with the fear. Why? It is standard procedure, Myx explained carefully, before planetary categorization. Categorization? She